for an update, so Mike and Jeff can take it away.
Yep. Thank you, Jeff. That's pretty much a good introduction. So we did circulate yesterday kind of a draft of an addendum, and I will say that it's still very much a work in progress. We're still finding out new information. Mike's been doing a lot of telephone calling with other communities that have now gone through with this group and this type of situation, and we're learning more and more every day, and I can let Mike speak to that to begin with, or in just a second. But initially, our areas that we want to address are the general conditions, basically setting forth that we have the discretion of, just how much right-of-way an encroachment agreement will cover at any given time, and Mike's been doing some research on that and talking with some other communities. Making sure that we can inspect things at any point in time that we choose, and that failure to comply with any of the conditions, could result in a stop work order. Notifications, how we're notifying the community is an area that we are addressing, and there may be still more to come on how notifications may occur. If there is an HOA, for example, we might require a meeting with the HOA explaining that kind of work that's going on. We've addressed traffic control and road closures. Most of those are already in our existing encroachment agreement as it is, but we did try to add a little bit about the need to follow our road closure notification process, which is an existing process that's already in place. Our key utilities who operate in our right-of-ways have this notification already, and they understand that they're supposed to follow it. And we get reasonable compliance with that. We do have occasional road closures that pop up that they didn't follow the procedure. Also, trying to avoid road cuts. That's always a problem in terms of creating the ride condition for cars, because they tend to sink over time, et cetera, and they're also disruptive to traffic flow. So we're putting in a requirement for any road crossings to be bored as opposed to being cut unless perhaps pre-approved by us. And then some really stronger stuff about restoration, which would include financial guarantees being placed with the village. We have not determined an exact methodology, but I think Mike can also talk a little further about some of that we've been hearing from some other communities. And so those are kind of the touch points. You probably have read through some of this. Again, very much still a work in progress. More to come on this that I think will be very much more specific in some cases, based on what we're learning as we go. And so, Mike, you want to talk a little bit about some of your telephone interactions?
Yeah, I've had some conversations I've really talked to two municipalities. I've got calls into two other ones. One municipality in the Charlotte area, suburban Charlotte area, they are on the tail end of this, so they've already gone through it. It was a bit of a struggle for them, just with the damage to the right-of-way and complaints and things like that. But they said they were complimentary of the company that wishes to come in here. Said they addressed the complaints in a reasonable amount of time, but it was a bit of a struggle during construction. I asked the lady I spoke to, you have one piece of advice for somebody that may be getting ready to go through this? And she said, absolutely, involve the homeowners associations up front. She said they did not do that. They didn't really encourage that. So when companies were out in the neighborhoods, people didn't know about it. And I feel like we have some pretty well-organized homeowners associations here. We've got the NAC, too. I think we have some ways to get the word out to people of what can be expected during construction and after construction. I also asked, too, from the municipality's perspective, if people were happy with the actual high-speed internet service at the end of it. And she said, absolutely. That is the thing, that they get a lot of compliments from that. People love the actual service. It's just a part of getting there and getting through the construction of it. So did speak with that. I did speak with a town on the Outer Banks. Their project is supposed to start next week. They just went through the encroachment agreement process that we're talking about. It's kind of funny. It was like us a couple months in the future, it seemed like, because they're like, oh, we were so concerned about the same things Jeff talked about, damage in the right of way and coming back and fixing things and street cuts. And so they actually provided me with a copy of their encroachment agreement. There were a few things in there that I thought maybe we need to look for. They're actually limiting their work to 5-mile segments at a time. So you submit an encroachment agreement. We're not telling you what 5 miles to do, but you have these 5 miles, and you're going to provide a financial guarantee for that. Their amount that they came up with is $5,000 per mile. So if somebody submits an encroachment agreement for 5 miles of work, they provide a financial guarantee of $25,000 as well. Now, I don't know how much science actually went into that amount, but that's what they are proposing, and is working good with them. They also recommended, they said the fiber companies like to work on the weekends. Our standard working hours are generally Monday through Saturday. They were very concerned. They have their own water and sewer utilities, and they were very concerned about if a contractor's working on a Saturday and bores right through a big water line, their ability to react and get the water shut off before a tank falls down, which I would have that same concern here. More county public utilities, of course, they have 24-hour, on-call staff, but I think we need to get the county to chime in on this a little bit from a utilities perspective. It may be that the fiber company wants to be on one side of the road. Well, the county may have a couple of water lines over there, or water and a sewer line over there. So we're doing some research. We're a little bit behind some of those other municipalities, and I think that's good because we're asking them for lessons learned that they've gone through with it. So hopefully we can come up with a set of conditions that'll be agreeable to everybody.
I'll mention one other thing that we kind of have found interesting. A couple of the communities, apparently, we've still got some more research to do, but are charging a inspection fee, review and inspection fee, which is not something that we had contemplated in terms of a fee for that side of this process. But I think it's worth us looking into, because the plan sets that we ultimately need to have submitted to us will require time to go and have the county review them, us review them, and maybe they're coming down the left side and we all agree, we need to be on the right-hand side, but we won't know that until, we actually have their specific drawings in hand. And so a review and inspection fee might be a possibility that we may also want to insert in here, provided we can do so within the legal framework. Apparently, a couple of communities think they can and are implementing that. So that would necessitate potentially something coming back in our fees and charges policy, that kind of thing. So again, work in progress. We're learning more and more every day. And so I know this is not the finished version, but this is kind of where we are as of today. We think we've got the broad categories in place, kind of covered. We just need to fine tune these broad categories a little bit further, and there may be a category or two that gets added based on knowledge of other communities and what they've gone through and what they've done.
That fee, inspection fee, I think you called it, Jeff, inspection fee.
A review and an inspection fee.
That fits in with my question to you the other day about how to set the security bond. What's the formula for that? And you can never underestimate, what that might be. So I like that. And then this
Looking at those
inspection fee to help
as two
control
different
that.
things, actually. Looking at the fee as being just that, a fee for the review and issuance or inspection along the way. We issue an encroachment agreement, but we've got to review your plans in detail, and that's going to take time, of staff time. And so that's one component, but still posting a financial guarantee for the restoration is still another component. We're hearing, I guess, a couple of different ways that that's being done, but it sounds like by the distance is the primary way that, what we're hearing, so whether it's by mile or by foot, you know. And there's a way to figure out a financial guarantee based on whatever criteria we determine that may be by linear feet, but then based on, okay, how much do we think it's going to cost to restore a hole that's 2 foot by 2 foot, and then how many of those do we expect to have, you know, along the way? But then again, the charge for review and inspection can be based on, you know, the same criteria as far as a linear foot or whatever the case may be. We talked with DOT, NCDOT, about their methodology for their financial guarantees, and it's pretty undefined, for lack of a better way. It's kind of sort of they do their best estimate of what they think it might cost to restore the right-of-way. It's not a real solid formula, if you will. And so I think we'd feel better about having a solid formula that was, you know, based on something like linear feet or per mile or whatever the case may be. That's easy to put in fees and charges policy, and it's easy to to collect that fee and set it to a side as a guarantee. So
Sounds like good progress is being made, and you'll figure out
I
the
think
security
we're
bond
getting
appropriately.
much more educated. Again,
I think I would
I
just
appreciate
say,
Mike's efforts there.
we're not the only ones in this boat. A lot of municipalities are experiencing the same things, and there's not a one given way to do this. Everybody's kind of coming up with this as they go, and what may fit in one municipality may not fit in another. So we're trying to take what other people are doing and what our existing stuff says and come up with something that's best for Pinehurst.
But do you have any examples of what other communities are thinking about in the way of fees and charges?
One is 10 cents per,
It's 10 cents per foot.
Per foot?
So for a mile, that's 5,280 feet, so that's $528 per mile.
Now, would,
Sound
I
like-
guess then it may not be considered arbitrary and capricious to charge that much.
I think we need to have some type of realistic basis
Right.
to apply that number to, whatever that dollar figure is.
Okay.
Keep in mind, we have over 100 miles of roads too, so if we charged $528 a mile times 100, that's over $50,000, I think, if my math is
Yeah,
correct. So
spread out over multiple years, but
We'd be
yeah.
able to reduce our taxes even more. Let me ask you another question. Do any of these communities, I thought you mentioned one at the beach. Did you say Nags Head?
it's Kill Devil Hills,
Kill-
actually, what it
whatever.
is, yeah.
Do any of the communities have the high percentage of their population that is already connected to the broadband?
That is a good question, and I do
Because
not
we're
know
at
that, yeah.
90% broadband, 91% subscription to the internet. We are very mature as a community in that world, and I'm wondering if
yeah.
these other communities
Yeah,
are.
two different things there, is my understanding anyway. Internet that we have in the majority of the village is not true high-speed broadband. True high-speed broadband is fiber optic
Right.
driven, and that's not largely what we have. We have some in the community, but
I don't think we have
it's
very
not-
much in the residential areas.
but it's
at
not
all, yeah.
widespread. And with broadband, true high speed, you know, you can, 4 different TVs could
I
be
gotcha.
running streaming shows at the same time, and somebody can be on the computer, and somebody can be, you know,
Well,
it just gives you a lot more.
so these companies are probably betting on the demographics of our population and the liquidity of their ability to purchase goods and services, that if the pipes are in there, they're going to be able to charge folks to sign up and people who want to sign up. That, now,
Presumably,
you fill the gap for me
correct.
on the
Yeah.
business model. I get it now.
Yep.
I didn't get it until just.
Yeah.
When do we think this is going to start?
We don't know, honestly.
6
I think
months?
realistically, sometime after the first of the year, by the time we get everything in place and
Wow. So next year we'll have this stuff
I'm
coming in?
guessing, but that's a best guess. They're ready to go. I can tell you, they're chomping at the bit to get started. And we're trying not to hold them up, but we also at the same time want to make sure that we have all of our conditions and everything solidified, and that we're comfortable with what parameters we're placing on them.
Will this benefit media coverage for the US Open?
I don't know that it would. I think, all of their stuff is probably satellite
yeah.
driven, and so I
Yeah.
I
don't
think
know
they have
that it
special
would.
arrangements, they do, but to the degree we improve our capabilities here, it might help a lot of different things.
And I think we pointed out, it does fit with our comprehensive plan in the, live and work from home community where, if you got the high-speed capabilities for some people, then that makes it maybe a little more easy to work from home, I guess.
Also need to make sure that we engage with our business owners. I know they're a little frustrated on the repaving of the roads, the time frame that it occurred, which was right during their busiest time. So just making sure we're talking with them and how do we coordinate that to work out best.
Yeah, and this particular company right now that's coming in, or has an interest coming in, is really heavily focused on residential initially. However, we do have another company that is focused completely opposite. They're focused on the businesses and specifically the downtown area. Yep.
Any other questions for Mike and Jeff Batten?
Stay tuned, we'll
Thank
be
you.
back.
No, this is good. Yeah, it's a continuing story, but it's a good story. Thank you very much, Mike, Jeff.
Thank you.
Any other business or future topics for work session discussion tonight? All right.
I
Then
move to
this-
adjourn the regular meeting.
This is not a regular meeting. Want to adjourn the work session and move to a closed session? Is that what you said?
Yes. No, that's not what I said, but that's what I want.
Motion, I'll move to,
Motion by Pat Pizzella to move from the work session to a closed session. Is there a second?
but we have to, we have to
Second
do all
by
this,
Tom
we have
Henny.
to do all this language.
And,
Don't we? Do we have
sorry?
to do all?
You're right.
We don't need that. I don't.
I think everybody concurred with it.
Okay, we can read it. Would you like to read it?
Yes, I'll be happy to read
Here,
it.
Tom. Read the motion number, was it
3,
Three,
motion
yeah.
to recess the work session and enter a closed session.
Go ahead. Bye, Matt.
So I second Mr. Haney's motion to recess the work session and enter a closed session.
That's a motion by both Tom Henny and Jeff Morgan. And is there a second?
Second.
Second by Lydia. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We'll move in about 2 minutes to the work session while we close up. Thank you all.